أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلى الله تعالى على حبيبه محمد وآله وسلم. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to our segment on Surah Al-Hijar. Inshallah, today we will cover the fourth Ruku of Surah Al-Hijar, verses 45 to 60. May Allah grant us the ability to understand the true meanings of the Quran by the grace of His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ameen. With this dua, let's begin the fourth Ruku of Surah Al-Hijar. Verses 45 and 46. Indeed, the mindful will be within gardens and water springs. Enter it in peace and security. These verses describe the end state of the Mutaqeen, those who are mindful and conscious of Allah at all times. Those who reject the invitation of Iblis keep themselves safe from all evil and don't fall in disobedience. Those who wholeheartedly live in servitude of Allah and His creatures. They will be in a state of heavenly bliss with feelings of peace and safety, where they will be protected from all sorts of troubles and deprivations. This is also mentioned in Surah Al-Nahl in verse 31, where it says, "Gardens of perpetual residence, which they will enter, beneath which rivers flow. They will have therein whatever they wish. Thus does Allah reward the mindful." Let's go on to verses 47 and 48. "And we will remove whatever is in their chests of rancor, brothers on thrones facing each other. Naught will touch them therein fatigue, nor from it will they be removed." Those Mutaqeen who are always mindful and conscious of Allah will have pure, clean hearts, full of love for all, because Allah will remove any resentment or grudge that prevents them from being close to others. They will always be in servitude of Allah and His creatures, and they will never feel tired from it. And they will continue this way always, enjoying each other's company. Let's go on to verses 49 and 50. "Inform my servants that I am the forgiving, the merciful, and that my punishment is a punishment most painful." We are being reminded here that there are two directions that one can go, and each has its own end result. Allah is forgiving and merciful to His sincere servants who live their life in servitude to Him and His creatures. However, Allah is also severe in punishment to those who live their life in pursuit of their own goals and desires. We need to ask ourselves here, which way do we want to go? Let's go on to verses 51 and 52. "And inform them about the guests of Ibrahim, when they entered upon him, then said, 'Peace.' He said, 'Indeed, we are of you alarmed.'" We are being presented an example of the two directions that one can go and their end results. We are reminded in these verses of the incident when some guests came to visit Prophet Ibrahim a.s. These messengers he had never seen, which made him feel apprehension when they arrived. This incident is also mentioned in Surah Hud, verses 69 to 70, that you can also read further. Let's go on to verses 53 and 54. "They said, 'Do not be alarmed. Indeed, we give you tidings of a boy knowledgeable.' He said, 'Do you give me tidings although has overtaken me old age? Then of what do you give tidings?' The messengers consoled Prophet Ibrahim a.s., telling him to not be afraid of them. They were there to give him the news of a son, knowledgeable and wise, the coming of Prophet Ishaq a.s. This incident is further described in Surah Hud, verses 71 to 73, that you can read further. Let's go on to verses 55 and 56. "They said, 'We give you tidings in reality, so do not be of the despairing.' He said, 'And who despairs of the mercy of his Lord except for those astray?' The messengers had more news to share. However, before sharing, they reassured Prophet Ibrahim a.s. to not feel hopeless upon hearing it. Of course, Prophet Ibrahim ﷺ replied in his most oft-returning way that only the lost and misguided are hopeless by the boundless mercy of Allah. Otherwise, everyone can benefit from His mercy. This thought pattern is common amongst all of Allah's prophets. As mentioned in Surah Yusuf in verse 87, where Prophet Yaqub ﷺ told his sons to find out about Prophet Yusuf ﷺ and his brother, he said, "Indeed, no one despairs of relief from Allah except the denying people." Let's go on to verses 57 and 58. Then, what is your business, O messengers? They said, "Indeed, we have been sent to a people of criminals." The good news of a son was then followed by some bad news, as the messengers informed Prophet Ibrahim ﷺ that they were headed towards the nation of Prophet Lut ﷺ, who were guilty of committing many crimes. Their crimes had reached to an extent where now it was time for correction. Let's go on to verses 59 and 60. Except the family of Lot, indeed we will surely save them all, except his wife. We decreed that she is of those who remain behind. Prophet Lut ﷺ was a nephew of Prophet Ibrahim ﷺ, and the messengers reassured him that he would be saved along with his family, except his wife, who was disobedient. This whole incident is also mentioned in Surah Al-Hijar, verses 24 to 37, for your reference and further reading. It's important to understand from these verses that just having mere association with people that are respected is not beneficial for us unless our actions are in accordance with the actions of those respected people. As we have read in these verses, the wife of Prophet Lut ﷺ did not act in accordance with him. Hence, she was held back from her husband and destroyed with the rest of the people of the nation. We are reminded of this in Surah Al-Tahrim in verse 10, where it says, Allah presents an example of those who denied, the wife of Nuh and the wife of Lut. They were under two of our righteous servants, but betrayed them. So they did not avail them from Allah at all. And it was said, enter the fire with those who enter. This concludes the fourth Ruku of Surah Al-Hijar. Let's briefly go over what we discussed. Allah is forgiving and merciful to His sincere servants, the Mutaqeen, who live their life mindfully and in servitude to Him and His creatures. The Mutaqeen have pure hearts filled with love from which Allah removes all grudges. They continue to live and enjoy each other's company as brothers. Allah is also severe in punishment to those who live their life in pursuit of their own goals and desires and disobey Allah's commands. There are two directions one can go, and each has its own end result. An example of both results was described in the incident where Prophet Ibrahim ﷺ was informed by messengers of the good news of a son for him and his barren wife, and the bad news of the end of the criminal nation of Prophet Lut ﷺ. May Allah grant us the ability to understand the Holy Quran and its true meanings in light of the life and guidance of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ameen. Thank you for joining us for this segment. Until next time. Sadaqallahul Aliyul Azim. Allah speaks the truth, the exalted, the great. Sallallahu ta'ala ala habibihi Muhammadiyun wa alihi wa sallam.